Hello again, everyone. Marguerite with Wreath by Marguerite here today to walk you through the assembly of the newest kit in our Etsy shop. It is a Ladybug wreath, as you can see, and it's done in the storm door style. The kits are live as of this video, so if it's something you're interested in, it's a great fun project for this spring. Ladybugs have always been a favorite of mine. I've collected them as a child, and this is just such a fun, colorful, and bright spring wreath. When I say that this is a storm door wreath, what I mean is it's a wreath that's under 4 inches deep, so that if you have a screen or a storm door in front of your regular door out front, you can place this in between that door and your regular door without crushing it. I have fluffed up all of the ribbon today to be able to show you how big and fluffy it can look, but you can flatten it out a little bit more if you are putting it behind a storm and a screen door, and it stays at about 3.5 inches. See how skinny that is? Keep in mind that the ribbon's a little more fluffed up. Looking at it from the front, you wouldn't think that this wreath was this thin. So let's talk about the kits first. Our kits come with all the supplies cut and prepped for you. The only real work you have to do is cut the little V dovetails into the ribbon. Everything is measured out. All the pipe cleaners are attached to the frame. All the mesh is cut for the base. All the things and all the pipe cleaners are attached to the back of the sign, so they're ready to go for you when you are going to put it together. So it makes it easy peasy, and then if it's something that you like and want to do more of, then we will have other kits available all the time. Or if you choose to go out and buy the supplies, that's a possibility that you might consider as well. The whole idea behind making these kits is for those that don't want a ton of leftover supplies or aren't sure this is something that they want to continue to do. So it gives you an opportunity to put together a really cute design without investing a ton of money. So there's that. This can go anywhere. It doesn't have to stay behind this front door, screen door, or storm door. You can put it anywhere. These are great ideas for within the home, in this classroom. I know I've sold many different themed wreaths for teachers for their classrooms as well. You know, anywhere you can think of. There's no limitation. So come on in, enjoy following me while I put this together. I break it down into very simple steps that anyone can follow. I'm absolutely confident of it. Just make sure probably you want to watch through the video an extra time before you start assembling a wreath if you do choose to purchase a kit. So come on, let's do it. Okay, well, here we go. Let's get started on this wreath. These are the supplies that you will have in your kit. You have a license plate size MDF wreath. That means it's a sticker on top of a pressed wood. I've already attached the pipe cleaners to the back with staples. So it's 2 pipe cleaners cut directly in half to give you 4 pieces. I use staples on this type of a wreath sign, but if you have a metal sign, or if you have a sign that's not thick enough to do staples on, then I would recommend the cable tie mount. This would go on the back of a metal sign and the other kinds of signs that I was talking about, including those weatherproof signs that a lot of companies sell now. You're going to use a rapid fuse glue on the back of it, put it where you would put the staples normally, and put your pipe cleaner through that. And these are available everywhere, including Amazon and one of my affiliates, Deco Exchange. Okay. So that's the sign with the pipe cleaners already attached. Then you have the actual wreath ring form. We only use this type for a storm door wreath because it has the 4 rings on it, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 6 crossbars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because you're going to attach the other 12 pipe cleaners, but if you buy a kit, this is already done. This is just for if you decide to take it on yourself and get all the supplies to do something else. So anyway, so 6 pipe cleaners go on the outer 2 rings, rings 1 and 2, at the crossbar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then the other 6 are attached to rings 3 and 4 on the inside. This time they're not at the crossbars. They're directly in between, centered in between the other 2, so that all of your products are staggered evenly for dimension and for keeping it thin for what a storm door is supposed to be. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I push all the pipe cleaners to the center open hole of the ring because we're going to start with the outside ring. Then you're going to get 12 to 13 pieces of each ribbon that you're going to use in the kit. They're already folded at 12 inches in length because that's the length of the tails you want to put in your wreath. If you're doing this on your own, you could do 13, but 12 is pretty standard, and they're already folded at 12 inches. If you're doing this on your own, it's easy to measure out if you have the board, or just use a ruler because rulers are 12 inches. Generally speaking, you just wrap the ribbon around the ruler to get your 12-inch lengths. So 12 to 13 in each pile, in each style, because you're going to need 12, but I gave you an extra one so that if you make a mistake, you have an extra piece. We don't do rules because most of the people that do these kits are either only wanting to do one for themselves or trying it out to see if it's something that they want to do more of. So this gives them less of an gives you less of an investment. Why was that so hard to say? I don't know. And you're not stuck with a lot of materials you may not end up using. So there's 3 in this kit. You can use 2 to 3 ribbons in the ribbon tails on your storm door style wreaths. It's entirely up to you. You could do 2 that are 2.5 inches wide. These are both 2.5 inches wide. And this one's 1.5 inches wide. You could do 3 of these, or 2 of these, or what we're doing today, which is 2.5 with a 1.5. And when I put this in the wreath, the yellow will be on top, then the polka dot in the middle, and then the ladybug on the bottom. And I lied, it's the other way around. Sorry. The mesh is green, so I don't want to put a green up against a green. We don't want it to blend in. And how I chose all of the elements, the ribbon and the mesh and everything, was based on the colors in the sign. You got polka dots, so I did polka dots. You had daisies, so I chose daisies. And you had some yellow, so I chose a yellow background. And then the green and the ladybug and the daisies, all 3 match this perfectly. Then, last but not least, in a kit, when you purchase a kit, you're going to get 12 to 13 pieces of this mesh because you need a piece of mesh for each pipe cleaner on the frame. So 12, 12, and 12. So that's easy to remember. They are cut 20 inches in length, 20 inches this way. They come on a 10-inch roll, so this is a 10-inch mesh. So 12 to 13 of those. I have added an element for the sake of the video because I want to show you one of the other ways that you can embellish your wreath without making it thicker. When we get to the top layer and we're done and everything's ready to go, we're going to put these little ladybug, let me scoot over here and zoom in. We're going to put these little ladybug buttons where the pipe cleaners are. You just have to remember to get ladybugs or buttons that have a shank on the back, and the shank is this little loop. You can use buttons that have holes through the top, but I wouldn't recommend it. I've tried it. I don't necessarily like the look of it, but it's entirely up to you. And these ladybug buttons I received, or I purchased at Hobby Lobby, so that is where you can find these. They've got a ton of different buttons in 2 areas of the store, so make sure you check by the sewing area and then I think it's the wood crafts. So I'm going to set that aside for now and bring you guys back out so you can see what I'm doing. Oh, last but not least, you're going to get written directions for everything that I'm teaching you in this video today to use and write on. Any notes to help it make it easier for you. This goes perfectly along with what I'm doing today, so having seen the video, it'll all make sense to you and you can use it as well while you're going along in the project. There will also be a thank you card in the box as well with a little added incentive on the card. Hint, hint, discount from your next purchase. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to move the ribbon out of the way for now because right now we're just going to be using the base and the mesh on our project. So let me stick that down here. So the tools that you're going to need for this project are a good pair of scissors. I use the Fiskar brand. Some wire cutters. A ruler, if you have a ruler. I use a chip clip. You'll see in a moment what we use that for. This is just purely for pulling the pipe cleaners through the mesh on the back when we put the sign on. I may or may not need it. It just depends on how difficult the pipe cleaners decide to be. And then I bring this little dowel. You can use a pencil or a pen. This is just for curling the pipe cleaners if you curl it on the top. I'll show you when we get to that point what I use this for, okay? So I think that's it. So we'll get started on assembling the wreath. It starts with the outside pipe cleaners, the 6 on the outside 2 rings, rings 1 and 2, that are on the crossbars. So we want to put, generally you want to put the wreath frame in front of you and the pipe cleaner that you're working on in front of you. You're going to put your pipe cleaner horizontal to you, and I'm going to do that on all of them now so that I'm not finagling, excuse me, while I'm holding the mesh, ruffle in my hand, trying to get the pipe cleaners in position. Save yourself some problems, okay? Now, I am most comfortable with turning it at a slight angle. Let me get a sip of water. The never-ending cough. Okay. I like it at a slight angle. I work this way. You always want to work in a position that you're most comfortable with. If you're standing is more comfortable for you, stand. Sitting is more comfortable, sit. Move this the way you want. But I find that it's important, at least at the beginning, at the start, to have it directly in front of you, the pipe cleaner you're working on, till you're comfortable putting it together. Okay? So we're going to take this mesh that I said was cut at 20-inch length, and you see how it curls up. We want it to be curled side down on the table. Now if you have a ruler, this is where the ruler comes in handy. And I'll show you another way to do it if you don't have a ruler. That's just as easy and actually means you need less tools. So what you're doing is you're putting the ruler on top of the mesh to determine the center of your mesh, because that's where you're going to gather it from one end to the other. In the case of a 10-inch mesh, 5 inches is the center. So the center is going to be right here. And this is a ribbon that has designs with lines, so that helps to make it easier to determine as well. And I'm going to put the clip there, move the ruler out of the way, and flip it around so I have something to watch as I'm gathering the mesh to make sure I stay on center. But like I said, this has got a design in it, so I can find the center line and just make sure I'm gathering that way. That makes that a lot easier on this versus a mesh that has no design in it. You definitely need to follow putting the clip on and using the ruler so that you're right on center. The other way, if you don't have a ruler, is just fold it in half. It's pretty simple. Just fold it in half, and that is where my center is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to gather it in my thumbs, using my other fingers to crawl up the top, keeping myself centered. You can either go towards that chip clip at the top or bring it towards you, or a combination of both, which is generally what I do. You can use one hand or two. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. I will do both ways in this tutorial so you can see some of the options. So we get to the top, we take that clip off, and we hold it loosely in our thumb and index finger. So loosely so that we can adjust the ruffles so that we have a circular poof. Okay, that way when we're putting it in the wreath form, we're not struggling as much, okay? So that's close to a circle. So we're going to put it in centered. We're going to bring the pipe cleaner up on either side, or both sides, and tighten it really tight. Don't be afraid of it, super tight. The tighter you make it, the the lower it's going to stay, and we're trying to keep this wreath under 4 inches so it will fit behind the storm or screen door. If you're putting it somewhere other than a storm door or screen door, it doesn't matter as much. But just still for the stability of everything that's in the wreath, I would make it as tight as possible. Then I twisted it 3 times and pushed it up in the air to get it out of the way so I could take and adjust my mesh by holding the pipe cleaner. You never hold the edges when you're adjusting your mesh in the pipe cleaner because you'll end up changing the pattern of the mesh. It's not as big of a deal in here as it is out here because in here it's going to be covered by all the other elements of this. So we're looking to take the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge of the mesh. That's how we're going to protect the cut edge so that we minimize fraying on this project. And see how I got a circle there? Then I usually take it and curl the edges under a little bit. It's gonna, you know, it's gonna be not always super easy. It's gonna fight you, but that's okay. The idea is by doing all these steps, it's gonna hold it in place and keep it circular, okay? And when I put mesh in the wreath, I do every other. I just like the way it looks laying on top of each other. Every other, and I believe that that really does help it stay flatter. Okay, so that means we'll skip this one and go to this pipe cleaner, making sure that it's ready to go so we're not struggling. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do the ruler on one side so I show both ways so you have both ideas. Get that clip back, put that at the 5-inch mark, turn it around. Remember, it always is curl side down on the mesh. And then on this side, I'm going to fold it directly in half to find my center. And I'm going to follow this line all the way up as I ruffle the mesh into my thumbs using the rest of my fingers. Okay? When I get to the top layer, I will do the one-handed method so you can see that as well. Try them all, see what feels the best to you. And also at this point, don't beat yourself up. If your ruffles are less than perfect to begin with, every wreath I do, I swear, I don't swear, but at least not when I'm making a wreath, haha. I swear the first couple are never remotely perfect, and I usually have to let it go and regather it. So let me see. And that's okay. The idea, though, is to try not to handle the mesh too much, because the more you handle the mesh, the more opportunity it has to fray. Because let's be completely honest, mesh will fray. There's no way around it, no matter what. But if you put it together the way I'm showing you, you're going to minimize it, because all of the cut edges end up being covered and not exposed to anything to be frayed. And also, if I haven't said it yet, wear short sleeves and don't wear good clothes when you're dealing with the mesh in particular, because this stuff is like Velcro. See how that's sticking out just a little bit? I'm going to pull my pipe cleaners up. This side came out good. I did outside cut edge over inside cut edge, outside cut edge under inside cut edge. I'm going to make a slight adjustment by grabbing the mesh up near the pipe cleaner and pull it out, and that will hide that. How's that look? I have the ability to watch in the camera, so that's one of the benefits of filming. There we go. Now we're good to go. So I can go to the next one. Since we're skipping that, we go to this one. Take your next piece of mesh, roll it out on the table, curl side down. And use the ruler this time again. Find my center, which is right here. Put my clip there. And on the other side, I'm just going to fold it in half. And that'll be the last time that I use the ruler in this tutorial. I think that you've got it by now, and if not, you can always back it up when you're actually making your kit, instead of boring you. Okay, loosely in the thumb and forefinger, create a circle with your mesh on each side. The most important thing to remember, and put it into the wreath, centered in the pipe cleaners. The pipe cleaners were horizontal to the mesh, because the mesh goes in vertically. 1, 2, 3. Put it up in the air out of the way. And then we're going to take the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge, the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Take a look at that and see if it looks right as far as the circle. I'm going to make a slight adjustment here and here. Okay, because always remember it's the outside edge that you want to get as perfectly round as possible, because that's what's going to be seen. From here inward is all going to be covered, so it is not as crucial. Okay, so now we're ready to do the second 3 pieces of mesh on this lower layer. Lay it out curl side down. I'm not going to use the ruler anymore. I'm going to fold it in half, mark it with my finger, and then put the clip there. When I'm at home and not at the Jansen Art Studio and making wreaths for my shop and for shows, if it has a pattern on it, I don't even put a clip on it. I do the fold message. I put something heavy method. I put something heavier on this end to help me with stability while I'm crawling up the center. But yeah, you get comfortable. You don't need to use all the tools in every incident, but always have them ready if you have the ability. And you know, a lot of it's stuff around the house. A chip clip, a pen or a pencil instead of the dowel, the ruler. Most households have all those things. So you're not really investing in a lot of tools. And then there's this mat. You will need to invest in a mat like this if you continue to make wreaths, because otherwise you cut the mesh, you're going to cut up your table, which would not be good. You use a rotary cutter, which looks like this. It's often used for quilting as well on this board. Okay, let me put that in there. I'm going to put it on this one. So I twist and turn my form. Once you get comfortable, you know, the rules are not die hard. They're basics to get you to the comfort level and routine that you find works best for you. Stand, sit, I do both. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge there. See how we did that again? Curl in the outer edges as much as you can. So now that we're putting this on top of these, the bottom ones are helping to hold it in place. Hopefully that makes more sense to you now why I do it that way, for one. Plus I like patterns, giving it dimension. So we're going to do the next one. Fold this in half. Put my okay. Fold it in half. Put my clip here. Turn it around. Fold it in half. And then gather, gather, gather. Right up that center, making lots of little gathers because that helps it keep smaller and lower on the wreath. Get that chip clip off. Make sure you use a chip clip that has a lot of strength in it, because the one I was using before, if you watch some of the other ones with the little pink one I got at the dollar store, they don't hold very well. They're good for a lot of things, but not holding the mesh. There's no power behind the clip. There's 3. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Take a look at it and see if it looks how you want it to look, and then curl the edges. So I'm going to pull this right here. I'm going to hold the pipe cleaner. Get in there. Get in there. Okay. And pull it out a little bit to make sure that it's nice and round. Curl it under. Now everything's going to stick to itself, so it ain't going anywhere. Okay. Now on this next one, I'm going to purposely mess up to show you. I'm going to gather it, not using anything, not paying attention to what I'm doing. and try to put it in there. I don't recommend you do this on purpose. I'm doing it to show you how terrible it can look if you don't pay attention to what you're doing. And this would be just too much to adjust to fix it without taking it out of the pipe cleaner. So if you put it in there and you think it's going to need too much adjustment and pulling on the mesh, take it back out and just do it again. So we're going to fold it in half. Hopefully that is a little bit of a help for you. And fold it in half and then follow the mesh at the center. Take your time. This is fun. I'm not saying spread it out forever, but take your time and enjoy the process. If you need to stop and walk away and come back later to work on it, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a design that is really easy to walk away from and come back. I just will make a recommendation when you get to the ribbon that you make sure you get all of the ribbon cut before you walk away so that at least everything's ready to go. I'll explain that in just a few moments because we're going to do the first layer of ribbon after this. So tight and low 3 times. 3. I put it up in the air so it's out of my way. So I'm going to bring the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Out. Okay. So I'm going to turn it completely around rather than take it out and put it back in because one side was definitely wider. I did not center it when I put it in the pipe cleaner. And that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So now we're going to take the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. The outside cut edge over the inside cut edge on this side, okay? Curl it under, keeping this nice and round so it's ready to go for the ribbon. So now we're going to do the ribbon. I've already pre-cut a lot of it because you need 12 bundles of each of these. But I've left 4 of each so I can show you the process of cutting the ribbon for the ribbon tails, okay? You're going to get 1 to 2 bundles of each pattern that you have in your kit with a total of 12 to 13 ribbons, okay? When cutting your ribbon, there is a finished side and a not finished side to each ribbon, even if it's a solid color ribbon. So I recommend you put a couple fingers between the ribbons. These on this side are facing the finished side that way. These on this side are facing the finished side on that side. So we're going to cut it in half right where it's folded. Since I did that for you, you don't have to measure it out. There are tools for that, but that's more advanced. We're trying to stick with the simplest way to do it. Now, this half is facing the table with the finished side. This half, the finished side, is facing the ceiling. So I'm going to turn them all over and immediately fold them in half with the finished side on the inside. And I do it this way because what happens if I walk away and I come back and it's a solid colored ribbon, it's very hard to tell with the naked eye which side is the finished side and not. So this takes away the questioning of whether you're putting it in your wreath right or wrong. So those are all folded directly in half. Then I'm going to go on to this one, which is the 1.5 inch. I'm going to put a couple of fingers in between, and I'm going to cut up here where it's folded and down here where it's folded, and turn these upright with the pattern facing up. Fold them exactly in half, making a nice strong crease at the bottom. That will help you with the rest of the project, keeping it correct, so you don't have to worry. And I recommend that at least for a while, here's the third one, you do it exactly like this so you're totally comfortable, so you don't have any moments and end up wasting a lot of materials. So I put them in half, turn the finished side up, and I'm going to, now this, as well as the daisy, I should point out, the design on them go both ways, meaning there are some ladybugs this way. No, I lied. They're all the same direction. Why did I think they were both ways? Okay, so they're all facing this way, so that's going to be important when we get into the actual making the tails on the wreath, okay? I must have been seeing something. different when I thought they were both ways. That's okay. I caught it before we started. So now the next step is to prep these ribbons one more way, which is to put what's called a dovetail in it. Here is a kit, actually not a kit, a bundle. I've already done that. We're going to put these little V's, these little dovetails or ducktails, whatever you've been taught they're called, in. And that's where one of the reasons why we fold the ribbon directly in half this way is so that we can remember to put the folded side down on towards the table and the cut side up towards the ceiling when we're cutting. Otherwise we cut them in half, and I'll show you when we get done with the ribbon some of the troubleshooting ideas. So we're going to take on the cut side and fold it wire to wire, so there's a fold here, and we're going to cut at a 45-degree angle towards the wire edge, and there you have your V. And you're going to do that on all 36 pieces of your ribbon because that's how many it takes to make this exact wreath. There we go. Make sure you have your trash can ready to go. So folded side down, cut side up, wire to wire, cut from the fold to the wire at a 45-degree angle. So fold it down, fold in the half, cut from the fold, and there you go. Okay. I'm going to move on to the next ribbon. And if you don't already know it, 2.5 inch and 1.5 inch ribbon is standard in the ribbon world for wreath making. There are 4 and 6 inch ribbons as well. I will put some 4 inch in some kits later on that I'm planning in my head right now. So there's those two. So we've got folded side down to the table, cut side towards the ceiling. Fold it in half, making sure the wires are against each other evenly, and cut from the fold to the wire. Okay. Folded side down, cut side up, fold wire to wire, cut at a 45-degree angle from the fold. Okay, then fold side down, cut side up, wire to wire, cut. Alright. Folded side down, cut side up, fold wire to wire, cut from the fold to the wire. Okay, after this last one, I will show you a couple of the common problems and what you can do to save the product to be able to use it and not have to throw it away. Get all the trash out of the way. Try to keep my workspace clean so that, because like I said, mesh is like Velcro, everything will end up in my wreath. Okay, so I'm going to make my bundles. I'm going to put what ribbon I want on top inside of the second ribbon and then inside the third. You can choose whatever pattern you want when you are putting your wreath together. This is just how I'm doing it. Everything's a suggestion. You decide what you want to do. Okay? So the green inside the red and black and white polka dot, and then the flower on the outside. Green, red, yellow. And then that way, when we put it on the wreath, it's going to be this pattern here. Okay? Okay, that'll be in just a minute. Now I'm going to give you a little tutorial on some troubleshooting. Always remember, like I said, to keep your folded side down, your cut side up. If you rush or if you're not paying attention and see how, I'm going to go in a little so you can see this better. I'm going to purposely not put it wire to wire like it is right there. I'm going to accidentally do it here because I'm not paying attention, and I'm going to cut it at a 45-degree angle. Oops! So now that's a really big side and that's small. This is easily fixable without losing the length in your ribbon tail. You're just going to go back and this time make sure that you're wire to wire. And you can see, maybe, let me get it, if I can get it a little closer. See how that looks? So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here just below. Because it's short on one side and long on the other, so we're only cutting off on one side. And now they're even, okay? So Another mistake people make, cut that excess off. Another problem people make is they do put it wire to wire and cut from the fold to the wire. But instead of a 45-degree angle, they go much deeper, like way down here, right? Well, that looks good. It doesn't work well. And why is because when you cut a super deep V, the ribbon will start buckling like this once it gets in the wreath. But again, you can fix that. You're going to lose a little length, but not a whole lot. You're going to start where you started on the bottom, but cut at more of an extreme angle to get it at 45 degrees again. And now it's fixed, except for where I pulled my scissors away. Okay. So those two are easy to recover from. You can refer back to these videos if you ever do that. I think I have them in all the videos. So I'm going to cut that off again. So this time I'm really not going to pay attention. Go back out. I'm really not going to pay attention, and I'm going to mistakenly put the cut side down and the folded side up. I'm going to do everything else right. I'm going to fold it right. I'm going to cut it right. This you cannot recover from. This is not going to work in the wreath we're making. So try to remember always folded side down, cut side up, fold in half, cut from the fold to the wire, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so now we're going to take the first 6 bundles of this ribbon, tails, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to put them on the bottom layer. Now with the mesh, we put the pipe cleaners horizontal and we put our mesh in vertically. It's the opposite with the ribbon. We're going to have our pipe cleaners vertically, and you're going to put our ribbon in horizontally, but in a V formation, and I'll show you what that means in just a second. So this is the second reason we need that crease in the center. That's how we know where the center of our ribbon is to put into the ties. And what we're going to do is we're going to gather with our fingers up that center, but for this layer only, not the top layer, we're going to take our other hand and pull the ribbon out in an upside down V. Okay? The reason we bring it into an upside down V is that helps it stay facing the outside edge of the wreath so it can be seen, because that's the only way it's going to be seen. There's going to be another layer on top. So then we take our pipe cleaner and very tightly, once or twice, then we're going to just start twisting in an upward fashion until we create an inch or so twist. See how that's twisted to right there? That's an inch. And then we're going to take our wire cutters at this point and cut the excess off above the twist, okay? That is so that it's secure in there and we can push that stub of pipe cleaner down into the wreath. Usually the pipe cleaners on the Storm wreaths match a color in the top ribbon and or a color in the mesh. So that's why I chose white on this frame. You could do the neon green or yellow or black or red, whatever you want to do. And in the case of this sample one that I'm making for the tutorial, since I have the Ladybug buttons to put on, it really doesn't matter because it's not going to be seen at all once we get to that point. And you'll see that in a few moments. So then we're going to position the ribbon how we want it. We're going to lift the top 2 out of the way and bring this bottom ribbon out, running our finger over the edges as we pull it out. Then we're going to take the next one and pull it away from the green one, fingers over that, and then that last ribbon. And there is some gathering at the top from gathering the ribbon. It's not always avoidable, and if it bothers you, you just reach up in it and push it up with your fingers and it'll mostly go away. Now on this side, I'm going to put them in the opposite order, a mirror image. It's going to be yellow down, still the red and black and white in the middle, see how it moves, and the green at the top. And then you can hold it up at the pipe cleaner and lay them down. Just like with the mesh, you never want to grab it from the cut edge because that'll cause more fraying. It's not as easy as with the mesh on the ribbon, but anytime you have to cut it, it's going to shorten your ribbon tails. So now we're going to skip one, just like we did with the mesh. Put the pipe cleaners vertical. Now before I do that, see how the ladybugs are going facing, the tops of them are facing this way? That is going to be the case in this one and this one. So we're back to the every other. So this will be the same exact positioning as it is on the other two. Ruffle that, gather it, make that inverted V, go into the pipe cleaner tight and low a couple of times, making sure that ribbon is facing out, and then we're going to twist it up till we have a inch or so twist. Cut the excess off. I'm going to tuck that in and then position our ribbon by lifting up the top two and out of the way. That helps it. Push those bubbles out from the gathers, and then do the opposite on this side. So this side, the yellow is going to be down, this still in the middle, and the green up. Not grabbing the edge to position it. They're going to move, so don't spend a lot of time fluffing the bottom layer. You'll do that at the very end. So we're going to skip one and go here. Same thing, we want to make sure that the ladybugs are facing that direction. Gathering it up the center where the crease is, making that upside down V. Put it in the pipe cleaner. Twist tight one or two, and then upwards till we create a 1-inch twist. Get the excess off. Tuck that in. You can wait and tuck in the twists at the end of this layer and do all 6 at once, but I like to do it as I go so I don't forget. Get a sip of water again. Actually, it's tea. Whatever works, right? And if you ever want me to make kits for you to do with your friends, please reach out. I can put something together after we message and figure it out. If you want to have a girls' day where you're making something together, I've had quite a few people do that. Okay, so now on this layer, these three that are in between these three, so these are all facing that way. This time we want them to be facing that way. So the other two bundles for this layer will be facing that way. Twist it up till it's an inch or so. Cut the excess off. Tuck it in. Spread out your ribbon and pop that bubble out from the gather. I'm really excited to see how this one looks when it's finished. I don't, for the tutorials, I don't make one first. So I do put one piece of mesh and some ribbon on a wreath frame so I can make sure that the colors all work together and the design of it all looks good. But you're seeing me make it for the first time as well, unless it's a repeat order for a customer, and I don't do a lot of those. So those are facing that way, so I need to turn this way. Okay. Make that inverted V. Put it in the pipe cleaner that was vertical. Tighten low, 1, 2, and then in an upward fashion till you create a 1 inch of twist. Cut the excess above that off. Tuck it into the frame, into the mesh. Separate your ribbon, and as you can see, I'm a little aggressive with it, and that's okay. All of the twisting and such makes it easier for us to be able to put a little elbow grease into it to get things to cooperate with us. It's okay, just don't go crazy. There are ribbons that are fused together when you have multiple designs on one ribbon, I wouldn't recommend being terribly aggressive with those. So we're on the last one on this layer. This time it's the right direction, which is opposite from this and this. You can do that on a wreath form that has even number pipe cleaners or attachments on the ring. If this didn't have 6, if it had 5, I'd have to make sure they all go the same direction, because you wouldn't be able to do every other. So that's another thing to think about. I know some of the wreath frames out there that are pre-made, like at Hobby Lobby, they don't have an even number ties on each layer, so then you can't really do every other types of ribbons or directions of ribbon. Otherwise you'll end up with 2 of them right next to each other, which isn't the end of the world. You could hide it with a bow if you're putting a bow in, or if you're making it for yourself and you just don't care, that's fine too. There's no judgment here. It's up to you what you want to do. Now we're going to pull the pipe cleaners up from the second layer, the top layer, in between 2 pieces of mesh from the lower layer that we just finished. So you're going to pull up all 6 pipe cleaners. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now we're going to go back and have our pipe cleaners horizontal to us again, because we're doing mesh. So mesh, pipe cleaners, horizontal. Ribbon, pipe cleaners, vertical. Okay? So curl side down, fold in half, find your center, clip it. I also recommend that if any of your mesh is fraying as you're putting it together, to cut the frayed strings off as you go, so you're not trying to find them in the end. I've been pretty lucky with this one. This end down here is a little funky, so that's what made me think about it. There we go. That happens. It's not the end of the world. So now we're going to fold it in half again and find our center. Now remember I said on this layer I was going to show you how to do it one-handed. So you still start with your thumb on the outside, but I just crawl up using one hand to crawl up and one hand to hold the mesh down. I find that works well for me for whatever reason. But do what's most comfortable to you and you think will make it work. So remember, I'm holding it loosely with my forefinger and thumb, and I'm going to make sure my circle matches as close as possible. There we go. And put it into the pipe cleaner vertically. Bring this pipe cleaner up and tighten it up tight 2 or 3 times. 1, 2, 3. This is so we can keep the profile nice and thin and under 4 inches when it's done. Take that outside cut edge under the inside cut edge, outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Now you got a lot going on underneath of it, but I need to adjust it just a little bit because I need to make sure this outside edge is nice and round. You want to do the whole thing as round as you can, but remember what I said, the inside will be hidden by ribbon and all of the signs, and if you're doing a bow. So that looks nice and round. That is being a little bit particular, not grabbing it at the end. Okay, so we're going to skip one again, but see how much of that ribbon got hidden under the mesh? Okay, horizontal, curl side down. I'm folding it in half, putting my clip on there, turning it around. You'll also notice when you get pieces that are closer to the center of the roll of mesh before they've been cut, they get a tighter circle, so they are so much more curly. Sometimes I start with both hands to get going. I like to mix it up. It's supposed to be fun. I don't want it to become monotonous. After 6 years, I still really enjoy doing this. And I want to keep it that way. Gotta mix it up, right? Tight. 2 or 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Curl it so it under so it's nice and round. How's that look? Not bad. Not bad. So put this horizontal. Get your next piece of mesh. Fold it in half to find your center, which is right here. Turn it back around. I can put a clip on it. Fold it in half. I think my voice is starting to go. That's not good. Let me go back to my one-handed. Staying on center. Pull that clip off. Hold it loosely in my thumb and forefinger to get that circle situated. Put it in my mesh by grabbing it and centering it. Tighten low 2 to 3 times. And we have 3 more to go after this. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. And see, with all these layers, they're really holding it in place as well. Get that rounded and under. All right, let's do the final 3 pieces of mesh. Pipe cleaner is vertical. Nope, horizontal. That was a test. Did I pass? See, now I'm going to do it even another way. Hopefully I don't confuse you. It's still the same thing. Fold it in half, find your center. Okay, there's my center. That's my center line. Make sure you're holding it with your index finger and thumb. Make your circle. Come on over to the pipe cleaner. Get that in there vertically. Centered, tight and low, twist that pipe cleaner 2 or 3 times. Okay, get that out of the way. Take your outside cut edge over your inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over your inside cut edge. Make any adjustments you need. And curl the outside edges under. Alright, so 2 to go. So we're taking those pipe cleaners horizontal. See how much tighter the circle is on these? Because we're lower. The first ones were like about that round. Because they were from the outer part of the roll of mesh. As you get further in, the curl gets a lot tighter and smaller. Folding that in half to get my center. Gathering it all the way to the top. Making sure that is centered. Put that in the pipe cleaner vertically. And bring those pipe cleaners tight and low 2 times, 2, 3. Okay. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Let's see how that looks. And if you're not sure how something looks, stand up to look at it if you're creating it sitting. And if you're still not sure, snap a picture with your camera. You'll find that you have a little bit different viewpoint when you do that, and it'll help you catch if something doesn't look right. Okay, this is our 12th and final piece of mesh. I'm going to use my phone to hold it down because it is curling like crazy because it's from the center of the roll of mesh. So we're folding that in half, and I'm not even going to, on this last one, put the clip on. I know that's my center line, so I just keep it with my finger and go all the way up. Not bad without the clip, huh? I've done a few thousand wreaths. But I still make mistakes. That's what makes us human. No one is perfect, and don't, whoa, I'm throwing everything all over the place. At home, everything's attached to the table so it won't move. But I have the pleasure of using all the equipment at the Jansen Art Center to do my YouTube videos. They have some amazing equipment that I'm using, so I appreciate them very much. It allows me to really be sure before I go investing thousands of dollars into a bunch of equipment that this is the right thing for me, and I've been very happy with it. Okay, there it is. It's all in there. Now at this point you can do one of two things. You can do the ribbon on the top and then the sign, but I prefer to put the sign in before the ribbon tails on the top layer because I like the ribbon to overlap the sign a little bit. So the way I go about this is I determine which poof is my favorite, that I think that's the most perfect, and I put that at 12 o'clock. And the pipe cleaner is 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and then you have 2 on each side. This helps me determine the center of the wreath for when I'm placing the sign in. Now since I'm going to put it in the sign first, I do need to determine my center, which is right between the every and the buggy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. So that's my center. That is what I'm using to gauge where I place it in the wreath. So it's centered between these 4, centered right here. So what I'm going to do is I am now going to feed the pipe cleaners from the sign through the mesh. And I always do it in an X pattern, meaning I do this one, and then I go back and do this one and this one. That keeps me from having a wreath that's offset or sitting up higher on one side than the other. It does really help. And then when I put the pipe cleaner through the mesh to the back of the wreath, I generally put it, if it's placed appropriately, right inside and next to the pipe cleaners that are in the mesh. You want to make sure that the pipe cleaner from the sign goes in under where the sign's going to sit a little bit, because you don't want to see that pipe cleaner. So I'm doing that one. So then I did that one. I'm going to go here. And remember, turn it around. Don't contort your body. Make it do the work. Put it through. And you're always trying to make sure that you don't try to put it through the ribbon. That would not be good. Okay. Then I'm going to go and put my hand on the sign, and I'm going to flip it over and attach it to the frame. And when I do it this way, the pipe cleaner comes out around the pipe cleaners from the mesh. So then that helps me to give it even more of an anchor when I'm twisting this pipe cleaner around the frame. I'm pushing down a little bit on the wreath because I don't want it sunk into the wreath, but I want it to sit nice into it. And when you get to the end of the pipe cleaner, always make sure that that sharp tip in the pipe cleaner is facing down into the wreath towards the front, so that you don't end up causing it to scratch the door that it's going to go on. So now I'm going to come over here. Same thing, it came out right by this pipe cleaner. I'm just going to wrap it around the frame until it's gone. Putting a little bit of pressure on the whole wreath. I'm going to flip it over. Now I'm going to do the other 2. So it's this one and this one. Lift it up, have my hand on the back to wait for the pipe cleaner to come through, placing it just above the pipe cleaners from the mesh. Sometimes it'll fight you. There's always got to be at least one that just doesn't want to go in easily, doesn't there? So that looks like to be this one. Come on, there you go. I feel it. Go back there with my hand. This is another good place to use the needle nose to finish pulling it through. My hand was starting to cramp. Okay, and then did that one, so now we're gonna go over here and do this last one. Put that pipe cleaner in right inside of the pipe cleaners from the mesh, so that when we turn it over, it should be right by a pipe cleaner on the frame. Let me see, let me get my finger. No, it went back up. Oops, come on, pipe cleaner. I see it. So use the, okay. So, as not to be confusing, that looks good. So we've got these. So the ribbon will end up covering just the very outside edges. So let me turn it back over so I can attach those two. See, it came out right by the pipe cleaner. That was from the mesh. So I'm just going to wrap it around. You want to try to make sure that the back looks decent, because if you have a customer that, more finished, you have a customer that has a glass insert on the door, you don't want it to look all scraggly on the back. You still want it to have some sense on the back. Hopefully that makes sense. And always, always, always make sure that that end of that pipe cleaner, when you get to that point, faces down into the wreath so you're not scratching a door. All right, so now we are ready for the pipe cleaners and the ribbon. So let me get the last 6 bundles over here. Don't need many tools now. I always do 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock last because I like the way the ribbon tails look layered on top of the other sides. So I'm going to start here, and we're going to have to remember again with the ladybugs facing them every other. So I'm going to cinch it up the middle again, gathering it. This time we're not making beads. We want to make more of like a starburst design, not to be confused with Starbucks. Just kidding. So we're going to do it tight and low 2 to 3 times. 1, 2 is all I'm going to do because I'm going to put buttons on it. Okay. I'm going to spread my ribbon out in the pattern that I want, lifting 2 out of the way. Put that there. On this layer, I'm going to keep it the same on both sides. It's just my habit. You do however you want. You can do them all with the green out, all with the yellow out, all half and half. It's up to you, every other. And now I'm going to show you what I was talking about with the ladybug buttons. I'm going to bring this in a little bit, okay, and find my dowel. Remember, you can use a dowel, a pen, or a pencil. If you don't have buttons, you can either twist the pipe cleaners around a pen, pencil, or a dowel and create these little piggy tails. You can either keep them nice and tight and low, or you can spread them out a little to give them a design. Put styrofoam balls on the tip. It's entirely up to you. Do the other side. Or just have them nice and tight like this if you're laying it low like that. Or if you don't have buttons, you can just do what you did on the bottom and just twist it really, twist, twist, twist. In this case, I would say about 1.5 inches to 2 inches, and then cut the excess off. Lift your ribbon and hide that twist underneath after you cut the excess off. And then all you're going to see is just a little bitty stub of pipe cleaner. But on this one, not in the kit you receive in the mail, you have to get the buttons yourself at Hobby Lobby if you want these exact buttons. They have all sorts of other ones too, so make sure you check it out. Let me see, you still want to have it twisted a couple of times. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a ladybug on one side of the pipe cleaner and bring it all the way down, and then twist it 1 inch, 1.5 inches up so I can hide it behind the ribbon. And cut off the excess that's not hitchhiking. Cut off the excess that is not twisted. Throw that in the trash. And now I'm going to tuck that little bit of a twist under the ribbon. Reposition my ribbon. If it's going on a storm door, you generally leave it flat like this, but for the sake of showing you how big and fluffy it can look, I run my fingers on them and give them even more of a curve. Okay? You can do one ribbon at a time, 2 ribbons at a time, or all at once. And now see that cute little button in the center? See? There you go. So there's that. I'm going to go to the next one. Now remember, the ladybugs have to turn the opposite direction on the next one. Okay? So those went that way, these are going that way. Twist. Open that pipe cleaner. A couple of times nice and tight with the pipe cleaner. To get another button. Now this one, pay attention to the direction your ladybug goes. This went that way, so this is going to go this way. So they're right side up. Do that twist multiple times to make at least 1.5 inches twist so you can tuck it behind the ribbon. Cut the excess off. Come on. There we go. Put that button right up there where we want it to be and spread out our ribbon. So on this layer, on this ribbon tail, I have the green on the outside. I'm going to go inside because I just like all the dimension. It adds more character and dimension to your wreath when you have different patterns, not just in the ribbon, but in how they are placed. So yellow out. And you notice I'm never grabbing the ribbon from the end because I don't want to fray it. Let's get it nice and fluffed. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to come back on the other side and do this one. So this one will be the same as this one because it's every other, okay? So let's put this in there. Gather, centered in the pipe cleaner, couple of tight twists. 1, 2, put the ladybug in there, facing the wreath sign. So I'm going to go on that. Come back here. I've got a runner. Get that on there. Twist that. Cut the excess above the twist off. Lift up your ribbon on one side and tuck that in there so it's not visible on either side. And since that one has the green facing this way, we're going to have the green facing this way on this one. Running my fingers over the ribbon as I'm positioning them. This would probably be better suited standing up, but you don't have to. I do at the end, of course. So then here we go. This one's ready to go. So that one, they're going that way. This one, they're going that way. So, looking at the ladybugs, put them in there. Now you can still do the inverted V if you want, but I like to cover up the mesh a little more than some people do. It's a choice. It's a personal choice. We're going to turn the ladybug so he's facing the top. No, I did that backwards. Thank you. There you go. One. So let's get that ready to cut. Above the twist. Okay, pull that ribbon up and put that excess pipe cleaner underneath. Ladybug was trying to go with it. We don't want that. We want it to be seen. And since the green was on the outside there, it's going to be on the inside here. Yellow out, green in. Okay, so now we're ready for 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock. This is the last one, so that one, they're going that way. That one, they're going that way, so that means this one needs to go this way. Tighten low a couple times. Get that button out. We want to make sure his head ends up facing the sign. Put it on there. Get in there. Why? This isn't that hard, I promise. Okay, get it on there. Must be trash day in the neighborhood. Twist it up. Cut off the excess. Above the twist. Tuck that under the ribbon. I'm going to get up now. Green goes towards the sign, yellow goes towards the edge. Get that all. Remember, never grab it from the cut edge. Get that guy laying in there the way we want it to. Let's poof this up a little. Okay, now we're going to do the final one. We are down to the nitty-gritty. I love this wreath. Alright, so now this one is going to be the opposite of the one down here at 6 o'clock. Get that button. I'm going to face it towards me because that'll be facing towards the top of the wreath. So when we put it on the pipe cleaner, his head is going to face down. If you're not using it for a storm door, you can use a bow on this too. But if you add a bow, it won't be a storm door wreath anymore. It will not fit behind your door in that 4 inches of space. Get up there, dude. Ugh, okay. He's just, it's the last one, right? So it's got to give me difficulties. So green was in, so we're going to go yellow in, green out. Get this stuff all fluffed out. And then we'll go back and do the bottom layer to make sure as much of the ribbon is facing the outside of the wreath so you can see it, right? Okay, so let's see. There's all that. Okay. I'm going to go out here, put that yellow one out there, lift it away from the mesh or you'll run it and or the mesh, cause fray. We don't want that. Green out. Yellow out. And don't forget, if you do want a bow to match this, message me and I will see if I have the product left to make one, and I'll quote you a price for either. You could put it on this wreath or you can put it somewhere else like a lamp post or your mailbox or wherever you're going to put this. It'll look good too. Anyway, all of this out of the way and take one last look at it. All right, I'm gonna look at it in the camera because I have that luxury. Pulling it down so it covers more of the mesh. I just like it that way. Okay. Let's just knot this one out here a little bit more. All right, and there you have it. It's completed. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? It's just a matter of breaking it down to really small steps and taking it one at a time. The nice thing is you can stop and start whenever you want. There's no demand that you complete it all in one sitting, but if you want, go for it. I also wanted to let you know if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have or concerns. I try to be available as much as possible. You can send me a message through the Etsy or YouTube through the channels. You can also email me at c@91719 at AOL.com. I know it's AOL, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I've had that account since the beginning of time. So, that being said, I want to thank you again for taking some time out of your day to spend with me and watch while I put this together. I know you can do this. Be a fun project for you, or if you want to do it for a group of people, we can make that happen too. Just reach out. And then finally, thank you once again. If I could get you to follow me on Facebook, I would really appreciate that. That would allow me to notify you of any new products in my shop if you're looking for a completed project, or the kits. They will be in the Etsy shop as well. And I advertise all that stuff on Facebook. And then if you subscribe to YouTube, you'll get notifications whenever a new video comes out. And if you think this is something that some of your friends might want to do, friends and family might want to do, be sure to share it with them as well. I appreciate your support, and I hope you guys all have a great day. Bye-bye.